Just messing around with the other cameras. My bad, everybody. All right. I think we're good now. Let's do this. All right, we're going to get into the show in about a minute and a half here. Apologies for the little bit of a delay. You can skip ahead to about the 2-minute mark. And today we are going to be getting into a very important topic, and that is why. Now, what do I mean when I ask that question? We're going to get into it more on the show, but basically the goal of this podcast today is to really dig into why it is you do what you do. Cameras are messing up on me. Apologies again. There we go. I think we got it. As you guys tune in, make sure to drop me a comment. Let me know that you're here. Let me know that you're watching. Let me know, what it is you're training for right now. The more I hear from you guys, the better we can actually structure this podcast to help you more. So make sure you let me know what it is you're training for. Let me know anything that you are struggling with, and we will touch on it in further episodes to make sure we are helping you as much as we possibly can. So let's get into the show. We're going to be talking about why it is you do what you do. And we're going to start the podcast here in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody, to the Wow. We're going to start that over again. 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Elite Development Podcast, the #1 show for athletes looking to gain an edge on their opponents and build their dream careers in sport. I'm your host, Kenny Dusseault, and today we are going to be talking about why it is you do what you do. And we're going to get into this because this is honestly the #1 question that you need to be asking yourself if you want to reach the next level in anything. But we obviously speak specifically to athletes on this show. So if you are an athlete listening to this and you are looking to reach the next level in your sport, you are looking to level up in any way, the question you need to be asking yourself is why. So the first thing I want you to do as you tune into this is look at your goals for your sport. What organization do you want to compete in? How much money do you want to make from your sport? How well known do you want to be in your sport? Look at the goals you have for your sport and ask yourself, why? Why do I want to achieve this? And if the answer that you have is something as simple as it would be really cool, that's not enough. Now, let me give you an example. For myself as a coach, I've known for a long time this is what I wanted to do, and we're going to get into a little bit more of that story today. But I've known for a long time this is what I wanted to do. And in the beginning, I wanted to coach because I loved coaching. There was really no deeper reason behind it. I just loved it. It's a great way to spend the day. It's a great way to make some money. It's a great way to make a living. I wanted to coach because I loved coaching. Now, for a long time, I've had people ask me, well, what do you love about it? Why do you love it so much? What's the goal? What's the reason? Because for anybody who knows me personally, they know that about 90% of my day is spent focused on my athletes, focused on coaching, focused on learning, all of those things. And so I have a lot of people ask me why, what drives you so much? And I only ever could really answer, I just love this. I love spending the day at the gym. I love working with athletes now around the world. This is just what I love to do. And at the end of January, I was at an event, and one of my coaches, one of my mentors, asked me why. And then when I told him that same answer, he didn't let me off the hook. He didn't say, oh, cool. He told me that wasn't good enough. If I truly want to, do this for a living and grow and continue to develop and continue to push myself, which I was saying I did, then there needs to be something deeper. There needs to be something deeper behind why it is I love to do what I do, why it is I continue to do what I do, and why it is I continue to work as hard as I do at the goals that I'm working towards accomplishing. Now, as I thought about it more and more, and as I listened to this same mentor get up on stage and speak, it started to hit me. It started to come together. For those who don't know, I was a pretty high level power lifter back in the day. And going a little bit deeper about that, powerlifting literally saved my life. It turned my life around. And the reason I say that is because before I actually found powerlifting, before I was actually competing, I was just lost. Like nothing was inherently wrong with my life. Nothing was inherently wrong with what I was doing. I was just lost. I wasn't happy. It wouldn't have been apparent to the outside, but I didn't really know what I was doing with life. I didn't know, where I was going, what I really wanted to do. It was difficult to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And I didn't really understand it either, because again, like I said, nothing was wrong, but something just didn't quite feel right. And when I found powerlifting, I found that. I found what I was missing. I found that competitive outlet that I was missing. And I went at it 1000%. I was lifting every single day. I was going as heavy as I could, as often as I could. And for a very short time, that worked very, very well for me. I competed at national championships on 2 separate occasions, winning one of them and coming top 3 in the other. I broke 8 national records through my time competing. I was absolutely killing it. I was actually on track to compete for the Canadian national team, I believe in 2014, maybe. And that's when everything went south. Because I was going at it so hard and I had no balance and I had no understanding of what proper training actually meant. But in my head, I was getting results, so I kept pushing forward. I started getting injured. I won't walk you through the whole laundry list of injuries that I had, but basically my whole body felt like it was held together by Scotch tape all the time. And through this time, I also found coaching, which was a little bit of a savior for me. But this threw me in a really dark direction. And don't worry, this is all tying back to the why, though your original question of all this. But this threw me in a really dark direction. I was coaching and I was enjoying coaching and I was progressing as a coach, but I was also going out and getting blackout drunk every weekend. Felt like I was living a double life. On one side, I was this high performance coach that was helping athletes and all that. And on the other side, I was this fucking giant loser that was wasting his life away. And that, I believe, was the unlock of me finding my why behind what I do. Because even though I was pursuing my passion of coaching, I wasn't as invested as I knew I could be. I wasn't doing as much as I knew I could be. And that is a huge reason that I was actually able to unlock deeper about why it is I do what I do. And in turn, why I pursue it as hard as I do, which has even, become more extreme in the last few months, which I'm very, very excited about. So like I said, I started pursuing coaching while I was competing. And then when competing kind of went by the wayside for me, it put me into a little bit of a dark place. And at that time, I continued to progress as a coach, like I said, and then skipping forward a few years here, why did I decide to focus in on combat sports athletes? So the reasons that I resonate so much with combat sports athletes, despite not being a fighter myself, despite not having any competitive martial arts experience myself, is because first of all, they're individual athletes like I was. And second of all, the tendency to overtrain, the tendency to train until you're injured and then just keep pushing through, like I was doing to myself and like was so common in the powerlifting world, is so common and so present in the martial arts world that as I started watching martial arts and learning about it and started working with my first few fighters, I just fell in love with it because they were individual athletes like I was. Their success depends on their hard work and their hard work alone. And they live in a world where they're taught to overtrain. They live in a world where they're taught to do too much. And if they don't do as much as everybody else, then they're soft or they're a pussy or they're this or that. And that just resonated with me so hard. And that's why I push the message that I do. The reason I push the message that I do, the reason I push recovery, the reason I push training smarter. The reason I push being conscious of your schedule is because people are in here focusing on being the hardest worker. I talk to so many athletes, well, nobody works harder than I do. Oh yeah, I work harder than everybody. Nobody can keep up with how hard I work. Oh, like my coach told me to do this much training, but I doubled it because I work hard. And in the same breath, they're telling me that they have shoulder problems, or they have back problems, or they have this problem or that problem. And they're not putting two and two together, that the goal of training is not who can be the hardest worker. The goal of training is not who can be the hardest worker. The goal of training is succeeding on the day of the competition. And this brings me back to myself when I was competing as well. I had this mentality with everybody in the gym that if someone squatted 300 pounds, I had to squat 315 pounds. If someone squatted 400 pounds, I had to squat 415 pounds. I always had to outdo everyone. So I was squatting 6 days a week, and I was putting 400 plus pounds on my back 6 days a week. I was benching 6 days a week. I was putting as much weight as I could load onto a bench 6 days a week. I was lifting as heavy as often as possible so that I could walk around the gym puffing my chest out and bragging about how fucking strong I was, which is something that so many of you out there are doing. I do 2 sessions a day because I'm a fucking beast. Like, cool. But when both your shoulders blow out in the next 3 years, those 2 sessions a day haven't fucking done anything for you. So my purpose and my why has become so much more apparent over the last few months as I started putting that together, because I've realized that I'm not here just to coach athletes. I realized that I'm here to be the voice to help athletes understand the difference between flexing their ego and flexing their work ethic and actually being successful long-term in their careers. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. What, is this guy telling us not to work hard? No. Hard work is always going to be essential to succeed in anything. I cannot stress that enough. But what I want to reinforce is that the harder you work does not mean the more successful you're going to become. The magic behind how successful you're going to become is what work you're doing. So for myself as a powerlifter, going all in, going at it 1,000%, like I said, was not beneficial in the end because I was going 1,000% at the wrong place. Now for you, for the combat sports athletes out there, there are so many that are going so hard, training 2, 3, 4 times a day, trying to do everything, trying to do more, trying to add extra sessions because they want to show how hard they work and they want to show that they're serious. And where this is leading is the same place that it led me. It is leading you to injury. It is leading you to burnout. It is leading you to losing the passion that got you started in this sport in the first place. So instead of going at it 1,000% and thinking, I just need to do more than everybody, what my invitation is for you, and what would have saved my athletic career as well, is understanding that going 1,000% at your sport is a good thing as long as you're doing the right things. So yes, this means training hard, but this also means having your lighter days. Every sparring day shouldn't be a heavy sparring day. You should have your days where you're flowing, you're just moving, you're just touching. You're not trying to go in there and fight. You're trying to go in there and improve. Every training day should not be a heavy training day. Every time you lift, you don't need to die. There need to be days where you pull back the intensity. You pull back the intensity and you focus on your technique. There should be days where you're pushing yourself. There should be days that are hard. There should be days that you're leaving the gym going, oh, I don't know how I'm going to do that tomorrow. But that shouldn't be every day. Because again, the goal of succeeding in the sport, the goal of training is succeeding in the sport. The goal of training is not to show that you work the hardest. The goal of training is not to show, look at me, everybody, I'm fucking tough shit because I'm at the gym 7 days a week. The goal of training is to win the fight. That's it. The goal of training is to win the fight. And how do you win the fight? Do you win the fight by beating your body down for an 8-week training camp until you got nothing left? You got 3 or 4 injuries you're battling through. And then you crawl into the cage or crawl into the ring and just manage to make it through? Or do you win the fight when your body is built up and you've recovered and you're strong and you're healthy and you're powerful and you're well conditioned to go 3, 5, however many rounds you need to go? Which one is actually going to lead to the most success? And when you lay it out that way, it makes a lot more sense, right? Because on the surface, what it sounds like I'm saying is don't work as hard, which doesn't make sense. But when you lay it out that way, which athlete do you think is going to win? The one that beat themselves down for 8 weeks and in turn has barely anything left by the time the fight actually comes around? Or the one that was smart, continued to improve, but continued to manage their recovery and manage their energy in order to make sure they were strongest, healthiest, most powerful, most explosive, fastest, and best conditioned on the night that actually matters? Which one wins? So coming back to the first question we asked here, coming back to the original point of this story, because as I do, I went off on a little bit of a tangent there. Coming back to the original point of this story, my why, the reason that I coach is no longer just because I love coaching. The reason that I coach is I want to be a voice. I want to change the industry. I want to be the person that shows this industry that training the hardest is not the answer. I want to be a person that shows young athletes and saves young athletes' careers, because instead of going out and grinding until they drop and grinding until they can't compete anymore because their body's too fucked up, they actually understood how to listen to their body, understood how to develop in the right way in order to see success long-term in their sport. Now, my invitation for you, if you've tuned in and stayed to it for this long, I appreciate you. My invitation for you, because what this has done for me, what finding this why has done for me, is it's made getting up every day easier. I wake up at 4:30 every morning without fail. And the reason that I do that is because that gives me more time to put in the time, put in the work, put in the effort that leads to the bigger impact that I want to have. And every morning when that alarm goes off, now, instead of going, oh, it's 4:30 in the morning, I don't want to do this, my first thought is, let's fucking go. I got impact to make. So for you, what is going to be the why that actually allows you to stick to the training schedule? What is going to be the why that actually allows you to wake up early in the morning when that alarm goes off and not hit snooze 10 times before you get up? What is going to be the why that you can actually visualize in your future in order to be able to push yourself the way you need to in order to succeed, in order to be able to invest in yourself the way you need to in order to succeed? Don't let yourself off the hook with, I want to be a UFC champion because that would be a cool way to live. Dig deeper. Ask again. Why would that be a cool way to live? Why do I want that instead of just a regular 9-to-5? Why do I want that life instead of doing something easier? Because when you can unlock that why and you can unlock that deeper reason inside, now you're going to be able to get up every single morning without fail. You're going to be able to put in those extra reps you need to put in. You're going to be able to stick to your recovery sessions because you understand the benefit of them. And you understand that you're not here to show everyone how fucking hard you work. You're here to win when it fucking matters. So that is it. That is all. I hope you got some value from this. If you did, I would love to know what it was. Make sure to drop a comment on the live stream if you're here right now. If you are tuning into this on the replay, make sure to leave a review for the podcast. Follow me on social medias. All the links to do that will be in the show notes below. And if you would like to take your career to the next level, combat athlete listening to this show, make sure to check out the application link in the show notes below as well. Fill that out, and then I will be in touch with you to see what I can do to help you take your career to the next level. So thank you. I appreciate you tuning in. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk again soon.